Grief can temporarily blind you, but it will never displace you from your present journey with God. This year has been full of grief for me, but not because I lost someone close to me in death. Grief comes in so many forms. It can show up when you miss an opportunity that you've been waiting for, grieving a relationship that you thought would last forever, losing a job, or mourning the life that you thought you would have by now. And I won't lie to you, that grief can become overwhelming. But in 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 6, Joab reminds us that our devastation shouldn't blind us to the present, to the people still standing beside us, the blessings that still surround us, and the journey that God still has us on. Grief can change what you see without changing where God has placed you. And when it changes what you see, it becomes easy to lose sight of your next steps. Hey cousins, and welcome back to another episode of the House of Monroe. This episode is called Grief Shouldn't Erase Your Present. Again, my name is AJ Monroe. I'm the host of this podcast. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like these. We talk about everything from self-care, self-love, faith, and more. And I am so excited to continue to create and post content for you guys. And so I am saying to you that you are allowed to feel what you need to feel. You may not be able to see past what you lost right now, but that doesn't mean that there is nothing in front of you to pay attention to, right? Now, let's talk about that. Like I mentioned earlier, grief is overwhelming and is interesting to me because it can come with tears. I'm not just talking about the boo-hooing, hooting and hollering tears. I'm talking about the silent tears, the crying in your car tears. But aside from the sadness, right, it can also come with numbness. And I feel like I've been dealing with grief in the latter, just numb. Like, I'm not even angry or filled with rage. I'm just numb to the trials that have been thrown my way. That has displaced the vision that I had for my life. I just wanted to take the time to express to you that your grief and the way you grieve about things may look different for yourself than it does for someone else. But ultimately, with everything that has been thrown my way, I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm just thinking to myself, how do I find my center again? A lot of times when we're going through something, people like to tell us, just pray about it. God is going to take care of you. Or they'll say, it's not that bad because God has greater things for you. Or, you're going through something, but your breakthrough is just around the corner. And while those things are nice to say, right? God does indeed have greater things for me. And everything will ultimately work out eventually. Because He is an on-time God. And that is something I will never dispute. And I believe 100% for sure. But just because I understand and believe that logic, sometimes that logic doesn't make sense when you're sitting in the face of grief. And I don't think that finding your center requires you to pretend that everything is okay right now. In fact, if you go back and read the story of Job, even he didn't pretend that everything was okay through all the trials and tests that he faced in his lifetime. At that point in time, he was angry and at a loss for words, and all his friends could do instead of consoling him, just kind of poke the bear even more. And though he was angry and at a loss for words, he said some really honest but raw things to God about himself, just wanting to be anywhere but where he was, right? I think that serves as another reminder that you don't have to deny your emotions or the way that you feel. You don't even have to say, I like the test that I'm going through, right? Or I understand why I had to go through all of that just to deal with this grief. The grief is there, right? I think that the grief is allowed to change your pace. Like, you're not going to pretend that everything is roses and rainbows, right? But it doesn't get to convince you that your journey has ended. And I felt Job when he spoke about just wanting to end everything because it would be better if he wasn't even born. Because sometimes the grief can really weigh on you that much. But notice how he did it, right? It was like he had so much frustration and so much anger with God that he felt like his journey should have been and could have been ended right then and there, instead of dealing with everything that he was facing. And I kind of had been in a similar headspace, and I reminded myself, like, this is the time for me to center myself back onto my journey, because I cannot allow grief to remove me from the path that God has set forth for me, because I trust him more than I trust myself, right? And it's like knowing that you still have more life to live, knowing that you still have a greater purpose is going to be important. So the first thing I want to challenge you to do is to acknowledge what you're actually grieving. That question goes beyond, why am I sad? Because again, you don't have to be sad to be grieving. You don't have to feel that specific emotion. You could feel a whole slew of emotions around grief. So you want to ask yourself, what am I actually grieving? Why do I feel the way I feel right now? And I know, like, it seems obvious, right? You lost your job. Okay, well, I'm mad because I got displaced from my job and my income is gone. But it's deeper than that, because you could make money anywhere. It may not be the same money that you were making, but it's deeper than that, right? For me personally, multiple layers of grief have been showing up in different areas of my life all at once. And honestly, when I think about what's underneath that grief, it's honestly not that I'm sad. It's really like I'm grieving the identity that I thought I had for myself and the path that I thought I was on. And even though I have like so many things and many blessings that I can be grateful for, and I am grateful for, right? Some of those things, some of those blessings have been stripped away from me. And I'm left with a bare bones version of AJ Monroe that I'm not used to. And so I'm grieving the life that I thought I would be living, in the direction that I thought I was going, and the version of myself that I thought I would be by now. Identifying that matters, though, for me, because now I understand why I'm actually grieving and what I'm actually grieving. It's not just one relationship or one job or one opportunity. It's the identity of self and sense of self. And I think those are like one of the biggest things that you can grieve, because it's not something that you can easily replace or repair. But if you don't know who you are without those things that make you you, you then have to navigate and really reach out to God at that point for him to help you understand who you are and help you build back up to that confidence inside of yourself. And it's a lot. But we can honestly talk about that in another episode. But once you acknowledge what you're actually grieving, the next step is to look at what is still in front of you. So 2 Samuel 19 verse 6 says, "You love those who hate you and hate those who love you. You have made it clear today that the commanders and their men meant nothing to you. I see that you would be pleased if Absalom were alive today and all of us were dead." That's what Joab said to David, and David had just lost his son. Absalom had rebelled against David, and David's men had fought against Absalom's forces. David's army was victorious, but when David learned that his son had died, he was devastated. And that part matters because victory didn't cancel his grief. David could recognize that the battle was over and still grieve his son. But the men who fought for David were still there. The people who remained loyal to him were still there. And David was so devastated by the death of his son that Joab had to confront him about the people who still remained. And this, again, reiterates the point I mentioned earlier that grief shouldn't erase your present. Grief temporarily blinds you in that sense. But the blessing was that he was victorious. His country was victorious in that battle. And he still had men that were loyal to him and loyal enough to fight and risk their lives underneath the reign of David. But the weight of that grief was strong enough for David to lose sight of the question that I want you to think about. What has survived your loss? Who is still there? What blessings are still there? What responsibilities do you still have? What parts of you are still there? When you begin to identify those things, you can start to center yourself in the present instead of focusing only on what you lost. And that can help you when you're trying to figure out what your next step is and wondering what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to move forward while you're still grieving. Then we get to verse 7, which says, "Now go out and encourage your men." I love this because the question becomes, while I am grieving, what is my now go out moment? For David, it was for him to encourage his men. Yours might be, get out of bed, make that phone call, go spend time with your child, open up your Bible, allow yourself to cry or laugh or to work on the thing that you abandoned because you are still here. David was very much still in the middle of his grief, and Joab reminded him that you still have work to do. Your purpose is still active. You need to fulfill it, and here's your next step. That distinction matters. It's the instruction inside of verse 7 that makes verse 6 powerful. It's short, and David didn't have to figure out his entire life at that moment for his country, for his army, for himself as a king, or even as a father who had just lost his son. He only needed to figure out what to do in that moment, something that honored his people and the provision supporting him, something that still honored himself and his own purpose. His next available step was to encourage his men, which brings me back to the very first question I asked earlier. How do you find your center again? I don't think that you need to have everything figured out. As a matter of fact, I definitely don't have everything figured out. But I do think that finding your center by identifying what God has asked you to do next is probably the very first step you need to do. And there's one more layer that I don't want us to overlook. David lost his son was dead. Even though David's army had been victorious, David still had to encourage someone else while he was grieving. It's important because sometimes your purpose doesn't wait until you're completely healed. It doesn't wait until you're 100% successful or until you have everything all together. You can still be a wonderful mother while you are grieving. You can still be a friend and create and pray and show up and encourage someone laugh, and even have a good day. Doing those things doesn't disrespect your loss. Moving forward isn't evidence that what you lost didn't matter. If anything, moving forward can be evidence that it did matter. It mattered. It affected you. It changed you. You experienced it and felt it and grieved it. But you're not choosing to be permanently stuck inside of it, because you are still here and your journey with God is still continuing. So if you're grieving something now, I don't want you leaving this episode thinking that you're supposed to wake up healed tomorrow. That's not what I'm saying. Grief is never pretty. Healing is never linear. And moving forward doesn't mean that you never will look back, right? But I do want to leave you with these two questions. What has survived my loss? What is my now go out moment? You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to have a master plan for your next 6 months, your next 30, 60, 90. You just need to simply identify what God is asking you to do next, because your grief shouldn't erase your present. And then let's get back to the now. Grief can temporarily blind you, but it doesn't have to permanently blind you to the life that's still happening around you. This is a difficult time for a lot of people, and I just want to pray and encourage you to continue doing what you can. Keep showing up how you can, the best that you can. If your best is only 10%, that's all you can give. And tomorrow you'll do another 10%. And hopefully over time that continues to grow and flourish. And I pray that whatever has been removed from you gets returned back to you tenfold. But this is the end of my episode today, cousins. And as always, you're growing and you're glowing always. I really do love this look on you. Until next time, this has been the House of Monroe with AJ Monroe. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share to a friend that you care about. Okay, bye. Mwah.